Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Pesachim Daf Nun Zayin through Samach Gimel, 57 through 63. Nun Zayin. Tanu Rabbanan. In the beginning, in the olden days, they used to leave the hides of the sacrificial offerings in a special chamber called the Beit HaParva. And in the evening, they would distribute the hides to those Kohanim who had served on that day in the temple. The Beit Av were those who served that day. However, the problem was it was no equitable distribution because the goons, the ones who strong-armed their fellow Kohanim, would grab everything. And that's not a good system. It's not fair. So they decided, we'll now distribute them not every day, but every Friday. Every Friday. And all those who participated in that mishmar, that week's term of service, will be involved in receiving their share. The problem is that the strong men would continue to muscle their way to the front and grab everything. So the only solution was, the owners of the sacrifices decided that we'll designate these hides not to go to the Kohanim themselves, but rather to be dedicated to Shamayim, to the temple. Nunchet, 58. Tamid nishchat b'shmono mechza v'kar b'tisha mechza. The daily afternoon tamid sacrifice is slaughtered at 8.5 hours into the day and brought on the altar at 9.5 hours into the day. So the Gemara asks, how do we know this is true? And it relies upon a pasuk. Et hakeves ha'achad ta'aseh v'boker, et hakeves ha'sheni ta'aseh ben ha'arbayim. That the idea is there's Ben Harabayim, there's the latter half of the day, the afternoon, is going to be divided equally. That 2.5 hours from noontime up until 8.5 hours into the day is the first half, and 9.5 hours into the day until 12 hours, the end of the day, is the second half, and 1 hour in between to accomplish the service. So the latter 6 hours of the day are divided between 2.5, 1 hour, and 2.5, for a total of 6, and that's why you have the shchita at 8.5 and the bringing of the mizbeach at 9.5. Nuntet, 59. Anu Rabbanan. Ein lecha davar shekodam l'tamid shel shachar el ketor shenemar baboker baboker. The only thing that is offered in the temple on a daily basis prior to the bringing of the tamid shel shachar, the morning daily offering, is the ketoret, the morning incense. And why is this the case? Because unlike the Tamid Shel Shachar, which has in reference to it a word in the Torah, Baboker, in the morning, the morning Ketoret has the words Baboker, Baboker, in the morning, indicating an even earlier hour than the Korban itself. Samach, page 60. Tenan, Nimninu Moshne Dedea Mimenu Ad Sheyishachet. The halacha is that a person who registers to participate in a particular Korban Pesach can withdraw from that Korban and register with a different Korban and repeat this multiple times, register and unregister many, many times up until the moment of the Shechita. So if a person is unsure of which group they're going to participate with, they can make their final decision all the way as late as the moment of the slaughter of the Korban. Samach Aleph, 61. Shachatu shelo la'achlav v'shelo l'menuyav la'arim la'tamim pasul. If a person did a shechita on the Korban Pesach for the sake of those who are not allowed to eat of the Paschal sacrifice, or for those who were not registered for this particular sacrifice, or for people who are uncircumcised, or for people who are tmeim, who are ritually impure, the Korban is invalid. Reason being, the Korban must be slaughtered and offered for the sake of people who are lawfully entitled to eat of this Korban. And in the absence of that, it's invalid. Samech Bet. Rabbi Simloi Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Simloi came to Rabbi Yochanan and asked him, can you please teach me the Sefer Yuchasin? The Sefer Yuchasin is the rabbinic interpretation on the book of Divrei Hayamim, the book of Chronicles. And Rabbi Yochanan was reluctant to teach Rabbi Simlai anything from this book, sort of secret knowledge. And he asked him, where do you come from? And Rabbi Simlai said, I come from Lod. To which Rabbi Yochanan responded, Eini don laludim. That the halacha is, we don't teach the Sefer Yuchasin to people who come from Lod. Is that true? Did he make it up? So Rashi gives two possible answers. One is, l'dachuye, This was a fake answer. He just didn't want to teach him, so he made up a story that you're not allowed to teach people from Lud. Alternatively, the real reason was because the people of Lud are not yuchasin. They're not themselves of pure genealogy, so therefore we don't teach the book of Yuchasin to people who come from Lud. 63. Samach Gimel. Ein lo la shochet, ve'yesh lo echem mechabura mahu. What happens if the person doing the shchita on the Korban Pesach himself does not own any chametz any longer, but someone who's a member of the group does own chametz at that point in time? And the Torah tells us that it is forbidden to be in possession of chametz when the Korban Pesach is being offered. Well, in this instance, the person literally doing the job doesn't have any chametz, but a person who is about to eat it an hour later as part of the group does have chametz. So what is the rule? Is it a problem? Is it a violation? So Gemara responds, Mi ketiv lo tishchat al chametzcha. It doesn't say don't slaughter on your chametz. Lo tishchat al chametz ketiv. It says don't slaughter on any chametz. The implication being that it's not only a problem if you, the slaughterer, have chametz, but it's even a problem if a person who's going to participate in the group and eat of the korban himself has some chametz. Everyone have a great week.